Assalamu alaikum everyone. How we all doing today? So I'm here to do a short video about, well, it's going to be a whole bunch of videos, inshallah, about, call it like a mini series maybe on why the US wants Israel to achieve the dream of a greater Israel. Like the US wants to back them. And there's plenty of evidences to support this actually. And one of these evidences I would have to say is, this so-called, fake concern, this, them being the US government, that is, they are expressing deep concern for the victims, the Palestinian victims, the Lebanese victims of the Israeli occupation forces. I'm going to keep calling them that from now on. The occupation, because they are an occupation army, obviously. Israel occupied the land of Palestine, that's no doubt. They have a long and violent history from even before Israel was formally recognized. So I'm not going to get into all that right now. But what I will get into is that this, this fake concern that the US government likes to say in the Western media and the American media, and this is for their own citizens, of course, yeah, because a lot of American citizens, first of all, if they were actually concerned, they would stop sending weapons and money from like a long time ago. But no, they're going to keep saying them no matter what. And I will list the reasons in due time, of course. This is kind of like an introductory video, so to speak. So anyway, regarding their own citizens, like a lot of Americans would protest, like when the U.S. goes to war in many countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, and others, of course. Yemen, when they were helping Saudi Arabia, like this, the list goes on and on. Americans were known for protesting. There would be big protest movements. In these movements, they would cause the U.S. to back away, to leave. They had to leave Iraq, Afghanistan. They left Vietnam before. But of course, the U.S. finds a way to stay, but with military bases. So they still find a way to, embed themselves into other countries, especially the countries they fought wars with. Yeah, so they're always going to be around. Just like that's just how they do it. Like they're always going to have a presence, so to speak. Because they see themselves as like the world police or something like that. However, with Israel, it's different. You could say Israel is like the U.S. but on steroids, and that is that the difference between Israel and the U.S., the steroids factor, is that Israel's own citizens, like most of them, nearly all of them, in fact, are very happy of what Israel's doing. Like they share the same vision of Palestinians being like subhuman. And that is because for a lot of them, they were raised since a very young age, like brainwashed into believing that they were chosen by God to, they were the chosen people. And their neighbors are like, oh, that was a mosquito, sorry. And their neighbors are like inferior to them, and they have the right to take their land. And God ordained they take their land, or that land, the land that used to be, that belonged to their ancestors.
אלון הוא לבנון. אלון גר בשמחה ובכיף במשגב עם, משפחה אוהבת, חברים לשחק איתם. בוקר אחד, בדרכו לגן, הצביע אלון על ההרים ושאל את אבא, מה ההרים האלו? אלו הרי לבנון. אי אפשר, זה מסוכן, האויב נמצא שם. זה עדיין לא שלנו, אמר אבא. זה יהיה שלנו, חשב אלון. לבנון
Drivel. It's actually a lie. It's a big fat lie. Anyway, they believe it. I will get into that later, of course, but not now. And I did get into this before in the video before, if you want to look at my past videos. So yeah, back to how Israel could do all the disgusting and genocidal acts that it does and post them on TikTok. And that is because their own people applaud it for the most part. A few of them don't, but they are so rare. So that's the difference between Israel and the US. And I know the US government, they would wish so much that their own citizens could fall in line with whatever they're doing, with whatever like regime change, war, or whatever. Then again, the US, they've been known to enact regime change, like with Iran in the late 50s, early 60s, and South America and the assassinations and all of that. Like they've been doing all of that, and American citizens didn't really know about all of that. Like it was all like classified stuff, and they found out later, and a lot of them are outraged about it. But it happened. They were able to do, like, pull off secret operations, and Israel modeled a lot of what they do after the U.S. So in the way the U.S. would, like, actually there's many examples of what Israel does these days that the U.S. used to do. For example, the U.S. actually bombed UNRWA buildings, like in Afghanistan. They did that, and Israel's doing that now, of course. And so yeah, but of course Israel's doing even more than that, like purposefully looking for aid workers to kill, journalists to kill, and of course their own citizens believe that Israel's own citizens believe that they are all part of Hamas, that almost everyone is part of Hamas, or if you're not part of Hamas, just leave so we could get rid of Hamas, just leave so we could get rid of Hamas completely and just go live in the Arab countries nearby. I mean, no, it's not so simple. This is their home, plain and simple. You can't just pretend that. I mean, the whole Hamas issue, by the way, that's something I'll have to get into later on, but they're not a terrorist organization like the US and other countries say. They were born out of resistance, and that's all I'm going to say for now. Like, if not for Israel and all the apartheid system, the occupation that they had, the indiscriminate killings, the taking many young people, kids, to prison for so long. If not for all that, there won't even be a Hamas, okay? And Israel was doing all that way before Hamas came into existence. So let's not pretend that it all started with Hamas. Let's not, okay? Let's not insult our, like, I don't need my intelligence to be insulted right now, Anyway, back to, what was I talking about? Yeah, back to, like, the similarities between Israel and the US. Like, the US envies Israel for things that it could do that the US can't do right now. So, the US, they are telling their own citizens, they're telling the rest of the world, we don't approve of what Israel's doing. Bad, Israel, bad. But they keep giving them whatever they want. They keep doing that. And it shows that there's also more to it than that, of course. Like, the US military, they are more than happy to help with Israel. So, they would lie and say, the spokespeople like Matthew Miller and others, they would say, oh, we didn't know that they committed this operation or that operation. No, we need to ask questions. They knew that the US military intelligence is among the best in the world. they're there, like they're watching. They know exactly what's going on. And of course, an example of them knowing what's going on is you have Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense. He's discussing opportunities for so-called de-escalation with Yoav Gallant, the the general in charge and of Israel. But he also reaffirmed, uh, like he reaffirmed their commitment to defending the troops, the Israeli troops, against threats from Iran and Iran-backed proxies or whatever. But then he was, you know, reportedly he was saying that Israel needs to improve the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza. That's what he was saying, right? But get this: after that, the U.S. warned Israel on October 13, like a stern letter. They were warning them that they had 30 days to improve the situation or risk facing military aid restrictions. What does that mean, military aid restrictions? And also, why 30 days? Why 30 days after October 13? Because the thing is, the election is November 5. So that means, if Harris wins, that is, like, they could just easily sweep this letter under the rug. Like, oh, they're not going to do anything. Like that, seriously. Like they just this is for their voters, for the American voters, to think that, hey, they're trying to hold them to task. They're telling them, we're going to give you one last chance after killing thousands, and possibly even hundreds of thousands will be dying in the aftermath of all of this. But don't worry, you're still going to get a chance after all of this. And this, and that's the thing, like, this is supposed to convince the voters, hey, Harris is going to, like clearly, she wants to do something. She's going to Her administration is going to take them to task afterwards. No, they're not. After she wins, they'll just dump the letter. They'll just throw it in the garbage. That's all they'll do. And they would laugh. They would laugh about how stupid American voters are to believe that they would take Israel to task after writing that stern letter to them about, you've been a bad boy. So yeah, it's just something to please their own citizens, and to make them believe that they are, that they don't approve of what Israel is doing, which is a total lie. I mean, why did it have to be a month? Why did it have to be a week after the election? It doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. So there's just no point to that, other than just to get the American voters to vote Harris. And then, of course, she won't do anything about it after that. But if she loses, well, that's something. I don't know what's gonna happen at that point. Like, you don't know, like, what would Trump do. So we'll see. Anyway, I just want to thank you all for watching, and please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. I feel like I have a lot to share, and some of you won't agree with everything I say, but I love to get into a civil discourse with you. So, like, I'd really appreciate that. I like a good, stimulating conversation, so long as it doesn't touch on anything offensive or whatever. Like, I'm willing to have disagreements on certain, like, minor details and stuff. But if it's something that I feel like it's going to be, like, impossible to deal with, like, maybe I'll send you some reading material or whatever, that that could perhaps educate you on why your point of view could be misguided, could be based in ignorance. I mean, I know I myself had a somewhat ignorant view about the conflict, is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and you know, as an American citizen, I consumed a lot of American media, and I was fooled. I was fooled by certain aspects of like the way they depicted Palestinians, and I'm not proud to have views from before that really the views that the Zionists would often tell people, you know. So anyway, please like and subscribe as I mentioned, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you all later.
אלון הוא לבנון. אלון גר בשמחה ובכיף במשגב עם. משפחה אוהבת, חברים לשחק איתם. בוקר אחד, בדרכו לגן, הצביע אלון על ההרים ושאל את אבא, מה ההרים האלו? אלו הרי לבנון. אי אפשר, זה מסוכן. האויב נמצא שם. זה עדיין לא שלנו, אמר אבא. זה יהיה שלנו, חשב אלון. לבנון שלנו.